welcome to another video. This is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do, but you know, trying new things. So I wanted to just do like a sit down kind of story time about how I became an intern on the Broadway show Be More Chill. So I feel like a lot of my subscribers know me from my time on that show. I was an intern and it was like the coolest, most amazing experience in my life, and I get a lot of questions about like, how did you get that? How did you meet Joe Iconis? Stuff like that, and I thought I'd just film a video about it. So I have my little Squip doll with me. If you know the show, there's a Squip is like the villain character, and he's gonna sit with me for this video. Okay, so the story kind of starts when I was a little kid. When I was like 5, I wanted to be Dakota Fanning. I wanted to be an actor. And so my parents put me in theater classes at our local community theater, and I got like so into it. But I still didn't understand at that time what like Broadway was. I just wanted to be an actor. And so that kind of changed when I was 14 and the TV show Smash came out. So if you don't know what Smash is about, it's this show about putting on a Broadway musical about Marilyn Monroe, and then the second season kind of goes into like a different musical. But it was so cool and dramatic, and there was this character on there named Eileen Rand who was a producer of the show, and I was like kind of like, whoa, I think I want to do that. Like, producing seems cool. But like, in addition to being an actor, because I was not ready to admit that I did not want to be an actor. And so also because of Smash, I got a Twitter account, and I started tweeting like at Megan Hilty, who was on the show, and just like interacting with other fans of Smash. And through that, I saw Jennifer Tepper, who is now the director of programming at Fine Science 54 Below, and was also one of the producers on Be More Chill. And so at that time, she was kind of like a theater historian / like producer doing concerts and like cool stuff. And I was like, whoa, I want to know more about that. And so I DM'd her and was like, can I ask you questions about what you do? And so she was like, yeah, email me, of course. And so we kind of started emailing back and forth. I would update her about my life here, what I was doing in my like local theater, and she would talk about, you know, what she was doing in New York. And when my family and I would go to New York City to visit in the summertime, I would like get dinner with her. And through that, she kind of became like a mentor to me. And so then my senior year of high school, I kind of had this moment where I was like, I don't want to be an actor. And it was terrifying for me because I had like prepped for being an actor for like so long, especially throughout high school. I did this class in the afternoons, which was a musical theater intensive, like for a pre-conservatory sort of program. And so that really like, I didn't know what to do at that point when I didn't want to be an actor. So I emailed Jen about it and was like, I don't know what to do. I think I'm gonna like go to school for something different. And the next day she emailed me and offered me an internship on her Untold Stories of Broadway book series. So I got to be an intern on that. And to me, like her offering that to me was like a sign from the universe that me deciding to do a different major in college was like the right thing, because obviously she hadn't offered that in response to my saying I didn't want to be an actor. She had been, you know, I'm sure thinking about it for weeks, that she was going to offer that to me. And so it changed my life in that way. It was like life affirming. And then I also spent my senior year of high school like researching and listening to all these transcribing, so like listening to all of these interviews about you know, Broadway. And I learned what all these different jobs were, and it was just like really amazing to have that experience at that time in my life. So then in addition to that, this summer after my senior year of high school, I started this blog called Letters to Broadway, and I would use it to like interview women who were like prominent in the theater community. So I interviewed like Jen, like Rachel Sussman, who's this amazing producer, Sherry Sanders, who does like really cool work in theater, and that's how I met Lauren Marcus, who is one of the actors in Be More Chill. And I always say those interviews took like 20 minutes, but my interview with Lauren was like an hour, because we just like clicked for some reason, and it felt like felt like I was talking to an old friend. And so then I got, I was like, oh, I have to like stay in touch with you. Like, you're going to be an important person in my life. And so we kind of kept in touch as I started college, and started getting to know her. And then I knew Jen at that time. And then Joe Iconis, who wrote Be More Chill and is married to Lauren. We always say we don't know how we actually met, but obviously it was through all of that. But Joe and I can't remember when we first met. But I had been aware of like his music when I was a teenager, because I was like obsessed with it. He has a song called Ammonia, and that was like a gateway drug to me to like YouTube musical theater, I guess. That fall, I started college at Baldwin Wallace University, and I was studying arts management and entrepreneurship. And I was visiting the city a lot, so I was seeing Jen and Joe and Lauren, which was great, kind of like becoming friends with them. And then after my freshman year of college, I became an intern at Feinstein's 54 Below under Jen. So I was working in the programming department, and I felt like I was like proving myself that like I could, work hard and be like a valuable asset to her. And I was also living in the city at that time, so I was getting to know, the city itself and people who live there. And so for my 19th birthday, which was in June, I went to Joe and Lauren's apartment because I like didn't really have friends who were my own age at that time. And so Joe and then George Salazar was there, and they were like working on some video for like the Be More Chill album. And Lauren and I were like writing music, and like at some point we all started like talking about Be More Chill. So for those who don't know, Be More Chill is this musical that started at a regional theater in New Jersey, and after its run there it kind of died, but they recorded a cast album, and that just kind of sat for 2 years from like 2015 to 2017. And then in 2017 it started gaining all this like traction and started charting. And there was like fan art showing up on Tumblr and Instagram, and it was like insane. And that's kind of why it's called a viral sensation. And so this particular, my 19th birthday, was like right at the start of this like viral stuff kind of starting to bubble, and like we were noticing it. And so I said to Joe, I was like, you have to make social media channels like for the show. And he was like, yeah. So later I like sat him down and was like, no, like you have to. And he was like, well, you can if you want, but I don't have time. And so I was like, whoa, okay, that's like a big thing to think about. Let me think about how I could actually dedicate real time to that, because I want to do it right if I'm going to do it. So then I went back to college for my sophomore year, and I was in all these entrepreneurship classes and arts management classes that were like telling us to like explore, our creativity and like take initiative. And like we were watching all these TED Talks all the time that were very like inspiring. They were, I don't know why I use air quotes, they were inspiring. And I was thinking about Be More Chill a lot, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna start the channels. And so I emailed Joe and was like, I'm gonna start an Instagram for Be More Chill. What do you want from it? And so we kind of talked about it, and then he was like, okay, I trust you, like just run with it. So I was making like these crazy posts that were like drawings of toilets in different colors, and then like with the lyrics splattered over them. I don't know, they were kind of crazy, but like if you go back you can see what those posts look like. You'll know that they're mine. So I did that from like October to January, and we got about 23,000 followers, which was like big for me. And meanwhile, I was also applying to all these internships in the city and not getting anything. And I was like super discouraged about it. And Lauren, Joe, and Jen like knew that. And then finally in March of that year, so this is 2018, my spring break of my sophomore year, Jen called me and was like, hey, Be More Chill is going off Broadway this summer. Do you want to be an intern, a social media production intern? And I was like, oh my God, of course, like yes. And so I got to work with Marathon Digital, which is like this Broadway digital agency. They're amazing. They do like Hamilton social media. They're the coolest. And also I got to work with the creative team and a little bit like on some stage management stuff. So that summer was like super cool, super challenging. Like it pushed me in new ways. And then at the end of the summer, I went back to college, and I like didn't know if we were gonna go to Broadway or not. We were like all kind of hoping we would, but we didn't know. So finally, like maybe a month into my junior year, Jen called me and was like, hey, you're done with school, like get out of there and come to the Lyceum. We're doing Be More Chill on Broadway. And that was like so insane. And so that started in January. So my school let me take a semester abroad. So I did all my classes online while I was working on Be More Chill from January of 2019 through August of 2019, which is when our run ended. And so it was just like the most dreamy, amazing experience that I could ask for. And none of it like would have happened, you know, without it was just like all these things fell in line, and I kept like getting opportunities to prove myself and like took advantage of them. And that's sort of how it happened for me. So now I'm going to answer your questions that you sent in. Okay, so I have my iPad here with all of your questions on it. Very excited. So Geek Rock Garage King said, was it difficult to balance your personal life with your school life with your professional life? Honestly, I feel like not bad as far as personal and professional life, because I was working with so many people who I like consider my friends outside of work. So that all felt like it kind of melted together in a way that was lovely, because we were working so much, but we enjoyed working together. As far as school life and professional life, sometimes I found it annoying that I had to do schoolwork. Like I would want to be hanging out in the green room with people or like in the band room, but instead I would have to be in Lauren's dressing room doing my homework. But my homework for the most part was like very manageable and very like actually relevant to what I was doing, which was cool. Except I did take a history class, which was not fun, but I, in college, kind of made a promise to myself that my grades don't matter as much as my experiences. So I was never like super worried about my grades, if that makes sense. Like I still got like A's, B's, and C's, but I wasn't like freaking out and trying to do everything perfect, if that makes sense. Did you enjoy eating at the Abadanza Cafe from Sam? So there was this cafe next to our stage door called Abadanza, and it's like a bodega, and it was an awesome cafe. And we would go there like during intermission, or not during intermission. I worked during intermission, like right before intermission while the show was going on. It was very fun. I miss Abadanza. Was it hard adapting to such a new lifestyle? That's interesting. I've thought about it like in reverse, and sometimes I'm like, how did I do that? Like, when did I sleep? But in the moment, it was not hard at all. Like, it was just like, it was so exciting and like thrilling that I think it was like, oh, we have to wake up at like 3 in the morning to go be on Good Morning America? Sure, that sounds amazing. Or like, when we did the Vanity Fair photo shoot, like that was so fun. And like I had to get up early and, you know, walk across like to 12th Avenue, but it was like so fun that it was worth it, if that makes sense. I wasn't thinking about, oh my gosh, how am I adjusting? So I think it had helped that I'd had internships in New York City before that, or else it probably would have been a lot to take in at once. Was it hard to get along with people you otherwise wouldn't have known? Honestly, not at all. I think part of it that helped was I knew a few people before we started Off-Broadway, and then after Off-Broadway I knew more people by the time we got to Broadway, and like there were more people each step of the way, but it wasn't like I met everyone at once. So that was helpful. And then as far as like getting along with everyone was like amazing to get along with, and like everyone on our show was amazing, from like the dressers to the actors, the producers. Like it was great. I really love and miss everybody who works on that show. What's your favorite memory about your experience? That's from Maya. Honestly, I think like my favorite memory is just, that's a good question. I feel like my favorite memory is mostly, honestly, taking cabs home with Lauren Marcus after the shows. There was like a point once performances started, where I wouldn't really see her very often, except we'd take a cab home together every night. And that was just like nice, like one-on-one hangout, like, hi, how are you doing, check in. It was like 10 minutes a night, but like it was really nice. And then, you know, there's other things that are more like starry that I miss, that were like favorite memories, as far as like opening night was amazing. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And like the Tonys were really fun. But like, I don't know, it's the smaller things like the cabs and hanging out in like Will's dressing room with him and his fiance that were like my favorite moments, if that makes sense. Lily said, elaborate on every step in your adventure. Please, we want to hear everything down to the finest detail possible. Lily, I hope that the beginning of this video satisfied that. If you have more questions and want more details, please let me know. I'm happy to share. So Minnie said, is there a specific way which is best in order to get into an internship through your college/university, or is it something you do outside of that by making your own contacts and connection? So as you like kind of learned in my story, most of it was like my own contacts and connections. Although I will say that my school helped me a ton. We were required to do internships. So I knew that that was something they would help me with. Our career services helped me, you know, with my resume and stuff like that. So in that vein, yeah, yes, my school was helpful. And like, if your school has the connections, you should totally use them. And also our lead producer, Jerry Gehring, who I didn't really talk about a lot in the video, but he came and spoke to us at my school when I was a freshman. And so that helped, I think, helped me get it. Danielle said, I'm super interested in your work search process and how you got your internship. I think getting your foot in the door is always the hardest step, and it's what I'm struggling with now. I totally agree. I think the way that you do this is by, like, you have to have those connections. They help so much, and the way that you build those connections is informational interviews. So that just entails like reaching out to people whose jobs you're interested in and being like, hey, can I ask you some questions about your job? And most people will say yes, and have like smart questions that you want to ask. And then after the interview, if it's someone you like particularly clicked with, make sure you stay in touch with them, keep them updated on what you're doing. And I feel like if you do enough of those informational interviews, you'll get to someone who like is as interested in you as you are in them, and that's someone who like could become a mentor if you keep that professional relationship going. That's my best advice. I don't know, that's what's worked for me. Yeah. I like this question from Ash Pearson. How does Mr. Joe Iconis take his coffee? So I like no one on Be More Chill ever made me get them coffee. I just want to like start by saying that. But there were a few times where Joe would like be sitting there and I was like, he needs coffee, like, and I'll ask him, do you want me to go get you coffee? I'm not doing anything right now. And so he would always apologize profusely and make sure it was okay. And I was like, no, it's totally fine, because I actually love getting coffee. I think it's the best errand to do, because you get to like walk outside for a little bit. It's kind of fun to me. I don't know. But he likes Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Pretty sure just black. I can't actually remember, but I just want to say he liked, he was always nice about it, is what I'm trying to say. I did also get him lunch. Usually I would ask him if he needed anything when I would go to the bodega, because I know it's hard for him to leave, and he would get a turkey Munster wrap with a pickle on the side and no chips, and then quinoa puffs and a vitamin water lemonade. I do remember that order better than his coffee order. Okay, now I've got the Instagram questions up. You can follow me at Lipstick Bailey on Instagram or Twitter, by the way, to be involved in like future question-y things. So Moon Maya said, what's your funniest anecdote? So this is an off-Broadway anecdote, but I really loved, there was this day in rehearsal where Lauren Marcus got her phone stuck in a rehearsal cube. So like, they're like just these boxes that have handles on them, but they're like completely closed. So her phone fell through one of the handles, I guess, and was like stuck inside the cube, and like nobody could get it out. We were on a break. Everybody's trying to get it out. And eventually me and Christine, who was, I think she was a PA, took it out in the hallway and ended up using like a ruler and like duct tape and like pulled it out, extracted it that way. And that was just like really fun and like stupid. It's my favorite funny anecdote. How did you first discover Jen Tepper / Iconis and family? So Jen I like discovered on Twitter, like I said earlier in the video, but like Joe, I had a friend who texted me a video of Chris Rodriguez singing Ammonia when I was like 14 maybe, and I was like, what is this song? Like, I didn't know people could write songs like this. This is insane. It blew my mind, and so that was like how I first heard of Joe Iconis, basically. Would you recommend theater internships for people who are interested in it? Oh, 150% yes. Like, you should totally try out. If you can do an internship, you should do an internship, whether it's at like a local regional theater, at your university, you know, remote. Like my Untold Stories of Broadway internship was completely remote, so I did it from my home in Michigan while I was still in high school. Yes, it will help you learn if that's what you actually want to do. And you'll make so many contacts. Like, I can't recommend it enough, truly. Did you feel at all prepared when you started, or were you just super nervous? When I started Off-Broadway, I was terrified. I remember the first day of rehearsal, I like didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to wear. I was like freaking out. I didn't know who to talk to. I like forgot how to speak, even though there were people there that I knew really well. It was absolutely terrifying. And once we started Broadway, by that point, I was like much more confident in myself and was not nervous at that point. Favorite person you worked with? I don't think I can pick a favorite, although I have like a sentimental shout out to the Be More Chill band, because I spent a lot of time playing Catan with them in their band room and just like hanging out with the band. And that's like they were an unexpected favorite for me. What was the most challenging thing about your internship? Nothing was like overly challenging, which is how I think an internship should be. Like, nothing was stressfully challenging, if that makes sense. It was all a lot of like learning stuff. So I wasn't scared of messing up, but like the most challenging thing I think was just doing so many different things. I worked in our general management office for a while, and that like was not how my brain worked, so that was challenging for me, but like helpful to learn. There were a lot of like challenges. I don't really know, I guess, is the answer. All of it and also none of it. It's a terrible answer. What was it like being an intern on Broadway? I mean, my experience was the dreamiest thing in the world. It was a lot of hard work, but like the people I worked with were the best. So dreamy for me. I don't know. How old were you when you first started working with Be More Chill? I was 19 when I started the accounts, and 21 when the Broadway run closed in August of 2019. Most important, valuable thing you learned during the experience? It's my last question. I like ending on this. Honestly, just like to trust myself was what I learned. Like I said, off Broadway, I was so terrified. And I thought like I was gonna mess up and like get fired, which is not how it works, and was never a thing that was ever gonna happen. But I just like didn't trust myself. I didn't think I had valuable opinions. I felt very like small, I guess. And throughout the process from off Broadway to Broadway, I feel like I grew a lot in my confidence, and by the time like first rehearsal on Broadway came around, I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I know how to do this. I know how to act in a rehearsal room. I know how to act during tech. The thing about it for off Broadway was I hadn't really been a part of that part of a show in a long time, like since I was 16, and so it was kind of like relearning all of that stuff as far as like being part of a theatrical process. So that was like the thing I had to get used to again. And so my confidence really grew over that. That was a long way to say that I learned how to trust myself, but that's what I feel like the most valuable thing was from my experience. Okay, so that concludes this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you have more questions, comment them down below, or comment what else you want to see, what you liked about this video, whatever. I love hearing from you. And subscribe if you really dug it, and if you super duper dug it, you should turn bell notifications on so you get an email every time I post a new video. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye!